We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest eventer of all time.
Good news for the sport.
Welcome to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are here in the Jump for Joy studio. You guys are in for a real treat today. We have the star American from Burghley, Cosby Green, coming on today. Let's quickly check in with our sponsors, and we're going to be right back. It's going to be a good one.
Want to advertise on the John and Rick Show? Contact John at 352-875-8622
Or call Rick at 850-879-2649.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Welcome back to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. John, this is our 5th season and our episode.
A bunch. I don't know.
You feel like I do, so we're going to let everybody know. Whatever, it's an episode that's up there in the 5th season. We have a great guest coming on, and the format that we're using lets us go on and talk a little bit more. So I think everybody's liking that out there. We're in the Jump for Joy virtual studio, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. Thank you, Horse Trailer Pros. It was a little bit of a rough start this morning when you said you were getting Cosby Green, which is great. She's in England, and we're going to do a 7:30 interview with her, which is 12:30 over there. She looks beautiful. Can't wait for y'all to see her. I, on the other hand, usually wake up really early, John, like 6 o'clock. We're up, we're moving around. We have chickens, we collect eggs. I feed the dogs. Everything's happening. Well, last night, Foxy, which is our Papillon Chihuahua rat terrier, has a tracheal cough all night long. I mean, it was bad, and we were feeling bad for her. We're trying to doctor her. So we're up a lot of the night, and all of a sudden this morning, I was like, oh, I need to wake up. It feels weird. There's light coming into the window, which is typically not happening, and it was 7:25.
I knew something happened because when we record normally at like, if I'm not on by 5 minutes till, you send me a message like, are you on yet? Why aren't you on? You need to be on. Let's get going. Come on, let's go. So when I didn't see that text come through at 7:25 this morning, I was like, I hope Rick makes it. And I was just about to send you a text and you popped on.
Well, you know what the other funny thing is? I got all the way down here without glasses, right? So I sat down and I was like, I can't see. And I got everything started. So I ran back upstairs. And when I was running back upstairs, I happened to have a mirror. And I saw the mirror, and this shirt was on inside out. So it's not even the end of it. So we have this great interview. I'm trying to wake up. Briggs brings me some coffee. And we're going to listen to her. She's awesome. But then we're taking the break, and I come back to you. Briggs ran off to do physio on a friend of ours and on a horse. And I went in, the dogs are staring at me. They haven't been fed. There's chickens all over the front porch and the side porch. They're trying to come into the kitchen. I'm running through them. We have 9. And I was told that the survival rate for chickens were like 50%.
Right.
We only lost 1.
That's
and
amazing.
They're full grown, and they're laying eggs, and they're all on they come and sit on my shoulder, and they get on my golf cart. And people out there, if you haven't had chickens, they're pretty dang cool, and they all have personalities. And to see the Jack Russells sit with the chickens on the front porch is pretty amazing. So anyway, we have a great show.
I'm impressed the Jack Russells don't go after the chickens, to be totally
No, I
honest.
started very young when they were little chicks and threatened them beyond their little ears could take. You cannot touch the chickens. You cannot touch the chickens. and they try to sniff their butts and stuff. But and MJ got a little feather yesterday, and she got in trouble. I was like, you can't sniff their butt and pull their feathers. But the chickens attack them pretty good.
That's
It's
super
pretty
random.
funny. Whatever, it's funny.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here we are. Great show. Coffee's in. I feel good.
Ready to go. Ready to go. Ready to get Cosby on. I'm excited. What a great Burghley it was.
Wow. I agree.
We had so much fun watching it on Burghley TV. I didn't watch it live. I watched it Saturday night, but it was an awesome day of cross country. And the reason we wanted Cosby is she really was the star. Like that, she just smokes around that horse, and we'll get into it with her. But such a good ride and really good performance by a lot of great riders. The Americans all look really good over there.
They did. I mean, it's tough luck for Hannah Sue. I know she was looking super going around, and the dairy mounts for her at Burghley is not her friend, and we'll have to talk to Hannah Sue about that. Look, I was just thinking, and we should all be thinking and sending our prayers and thoughts to Liz Halliday, who is recovering from a fall at the AECs. I watch her updates and see how things are going. I think things are progressing, and everybody out there, just send positive thoughts for Liz and her whole team, Rob and Chris Tessino, and all her friends. And I know Jenny Autry is with her a lot, and we're getting updates. We're pressing for a full recovery. And Liz, if they're letting you listen, get strong. You're a Formula One race car driver. You're the toughest, one of the toughest women I know out there. She's a tough one.
For sure.
So we're sending our thoughts to all of
you.
you.
Absolutely. Well said. We are thinking of Liz. It was just so tragic because she was really having a beautiful round on the horse. And it just was, I said to somebody, like, we all know the risk we take. Liz knows the risks that she takes when she goes out, but you never want to see it happen. And as a competitor, you never think it's really going to happen to you, at least somewhere deep down. But we're all here for Liz. We're supporting her. I know the hashtag is Keep Fighting Liz, and her family is doing an amazing job keeping everybody updated, which I think is really kind of them to do. Certainly not something they need to do. Everybody needs to deal with this stuff in their own way and make sure, obviously, that they're there for Liz. But I know the family and her friends want the support of the community to come directly to Liz. They have been reading her text messages and letting her know that everybody's thinking of her. So certainly, I know you and I are, Rick, our families are thinking of Liz, and I know I can speak for the 23,000 subscribers that watch our show. I know every single one of them is thinking of Liz as well. So we're all pulling for you, Liz, and we can't wait to see you out at an event so we can all give you a hug and tell you how glad we are that you've had an amazing recovery.
Yeah, well said. And I think that brings up some other points that we can talk on later. I know, John, you're our big proponent, as we all are, but you're really a leader in safety. And I think as we go through this with frangible pens, excuse me, and just making our sport as safe as we can. I mean, it's a sport is anything. You could walk outside and trip and get hurt, but I think making our cross country as safe as we can is in the forefront of your career. And I know you're coming out with some other things that really highlight that. Can you talk about the house thing? I know you mentioned something about the design, and maybe there's going to be some changes with the skinny house kind of thing.
Yeah, well, just so to be totally clear, I have nothing to do with developing any of this stuff. All I try to do is help promote it and push stuff forward. That I am no engineer. But when I see the stuff come out in various places, I just try to promote that we get to use it. So I think that's super important. With these skinny cabins, one of the things that the riders have been concerned about is that as they were getting built, they had a peak on the top. So the roof would come up and then there'd be like a 4x6 sticking up maybe 3-4 inches above, maybe last 2-3 inches above that roof line. So the riders wanted to make sure that those fences all got retrofitted by the end of this year, and that should be happening so that there's no peaks on the roof of these cabins. That said, the cabin in question was not built that way. It was built sort of what we would generically call correct, right? So it was presented well. It was on top of a mound. It was decorated correctly. sometimes you do everything that you can that's right, and this stuff still happens. I do know that, as was the case before, during and after this, there different people, different builders, designers are constantly working towards trying to find ways that you can put this frangible technology that we have into different shapes of fences. Because obviously, with what we have right now, we can't just have 100% frangible jumps out there, because we'd be very limited in shapes and things. And you have to have some different shapes to create the right jumps that you want to have a competitive cross-country course as well. So the only thing I'll just say to wrap that up is there is a ton of thought as to how you can make all different shapes frangible. And I know that there's been people meeting on it, talking about it, developers deciding and discussing it before this happened. And cabins are one of those fences that they're talking about, trying to figure out a way, can we make that frangible? So it is in the works.
Well, that's good. It kind of moves us into the Burghley conversation, because I think it was one of the most successful Burghleys, asking all the right questions. It was a reversion to old school, meaning there's a lot of brush. There was a lot of frangible pins there. I don't think there was any major horse and rider fall at Burghley. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
there was no tragedy.
Right. Derek's course was super hard, with asking big questions. I really liked a lot of the brush being used, and horses figuring out how to use brush. You got to be careful sometimes, because then they think brush you could go down lower. But I watched from start to finish on the Burghley course, and it was a good passage for our sport. And so good job, Derek, and good job, Jay, at the AECs for his course design, because it was a good one. It was just too bad that happened to Liz at that jump.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's been tough, and I think I know there's one other thing we should probably talk about, which is obviously the sport is dealing with
Charlotte Desjardins,
yet another top competitor not doing the right things with their horse. I have to be a little careful. I'm just going to be upfront with everybody. I have to be a little careful with what I say about it, because of my different roles in the sport. But here's what I can say, and I think this encapsulates it best. It's the best thing I've heard, and it was from David O'Connor weeks ago, but I know he's said it for a long time. And I think this is just something for all of us as professionals, whether we're experienced like you and I, or we're new into the sport. David said to me, and it really has hit home more and more the more I think about it. When you're training your horses, whether you're alone or not, if you don't think that you could do that in Central Park in New York with people watching and explain it to them so that they would understand why you're doing what you're doing, then don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that, and it's a good thing for you to think about. And I thought about this a lot. It has happened, and I am really trying to wrap my brain around it a little bit, John. We've all loved our horses. We've been in this for years. Look, I'm not making any judgment calls. I think due process will happen. I think a lot of people out there I'm seeing it's like blood in the water for sharks and stuff. I think there is a lot happening behind the scenes with the federations and with organizations. We don't, I mean, when I say we, I used to be on the board for the USEA, and I can tell you, Rob Burke is not taking this lightly. I think when you're in those positions, you have to do the right thing, do due diligence, and then pave a road forward to see how we're gonna. Sorry about this. I'm getting all.
It's because you woke up late.
But my point is, I see a lot of comments and people saying that this, a lot of professionals are like this. No, we're not. No. I can tell you, I love my horses. My daughter loves her horses. You love your horses. I think it's a master of somebody that has a temper issue, losing their temper. We all need to understand how to do that. If you're on a horse and you're riding and you're training and your actions are out of anger, stop, because
Yeah.
you're not going to get anything done training from anger. It has to come from an educational point of view from you to your horse. And some days, look, I used to hear people say, if you don't win now, you're never going to win. It's not true. You don't have to win with an issue with your horse at that point in time. And sometimes it's better to scrub it, go back lower in the ground field of where you need to go for whatever the problem is, and you solve it that way. You you can walk away from a problem. If the horse
Yes.
didn't jump the jump, you can walk away from that problem and come back to it in a different way to make it work. So everybody out there, young professionals, amateurs, junior riders, don't think that you've got to over push your horse and that if you don't do it on that day, it will never get done. That's not true. Take that off the bucket list. You have plenty of time to educate your horse in a fair and good way, and your horse is going to be the better for it. So I think we do that, and everybody out there, let due process happen. I'm saying that rider and that professional, if it's all true and what I've seen, they need to do a lot of soul searching and maybe perhaps pretty soon come out with a statement of what that soul searching is. But just everybody out there, our horses are our life and our loves and our friends. Treat them like that.
Yeah, no, incredibly well said. And just the last little thing I'll say is I do know it is being looked at. It already was. It is being investigated as a bunch of things are. I'm not privy to any of that. And that is all being dealt with in the correct channels as it should be. So I know there's people who want things to happen immediately, but I do think we have to go through the process. So enough on that. I do
Yeah.
want to say one more thing before we go to Cosby, which is, and I showed it to you and you didn't tell me it was terrible. I got approached end of last year by a really great filmmaker who's a friend of mine that I actually go to the gym with, who wanted to do a documentary and wants to get sort of into the equestrian market. So he asked me if he could do one on me, which was honestly super embarrassing and weird and has made me incredibly uncomfortable. Rick has had to deal with my insecurities and my nervousness about even putting this out. But it's done. It's going to be released October 12th. We're going to hopefully have a trailer for it here soon. Peter Velasquez is the director. I think he did an incredible job. So I'm kind of expecting a bunch of people to say, what is John thinking? This is ridiculous. It is a little bit supposed to be like a story of my life to this point, like what I did as a kid to get to where I am now. I hope.
So what I'm going to tell you
Yes.
is,
Okay.
I mean, you told me about this back when it was starting to happen, and everybody wants to have a movie about themselves. It's like,
I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty
I want a
gratuitous.
movie about myself.
Yeah.
You have a good story to tell, and it's a funny one and sometimes a tragic one, but one that has meaning and coming through. And it's hard to tell one's life story in 45 minutes. I mean, John, obviously you've been a part of many of our lives for many, many years. You and Jen and Caden, we've watched Caden grow up. I mean, it's pretty cool seeing a family that's there together running a business like you do and being a really good friend of mine and also being an advocate for safety. I think your movie does a really good job at kind of encapsulating the life choices you had to make, and then those life choices never stop. And so within this movie, you kind of show that you have different points in your life in which you had to make life choices. And I think the most uh, impactful for me is your experiences of when things go wrong, and how you recovered and how you use that as a pinpoint of something in your life. And so I appreciate that. And I think everybody out there, you're going to really enjoy the movie. John's not bad to look at, so you can kind of stare at him a little bit while you're doing it. But it's
That's why I
it's a
had the
good job.
Botox done.
Exactly. It's a great job, and I think again, I think with all safety in the forefront, your life has been built around that because of circumstances that I'm sure you didn't want to go through. And so you share that in a way that is touching. It's hard to talk about. I know that was a struggle for you to go through and even talk about it and some of the decisions you made that led up to it. So I appreciate your candor and your ability to talk about it, because we all as riders and competitors need to know that there are choices that we make, and sometimes hindsight's 2020. But thanks for sharing that. I look forward to the release, and I'll be your biggest fan.
Well, I appreciate it. That means a lot, because I showed it to you because I know that you don't lie to me. And
right.
If it were terrible, you'd tell me, which I appreciate. But it is coming out October 12th. I'm going to have a little bit of a friends and family viewing here at the farm, and then it'll go out on, I think it's going to go on YouTube, onto our channel. Actually, it'll be right here on
That's
the John
awesome.
channel. So I hope everybody can sort of watch it, stay open-minded, realize like, yeah, John might be a little bit of a weird dude, but there's a message to the whole story. And I will say, which we talk about, it is also been done as a fundraiser for safety in the sport. So that's a big part of all of this. So enough about that, enough about me. Let's get on to Cosby, Rick. We will take a break here at the Jump for Joy studio. We will be right back with Cosby Green.
EquiBrew, now available in the USA. It's a live probiotic that you feed daily to your horses. The live microbes go into your horse's gut and cleans up the gut wall, creating a healthy gut system.
EquiBrew is an essential part of my feeding program. My horses love to eat it, and it does a really good job of promoting gut health and also good behavior and great performances.
It's something I recommend for all of your horses, no matter what they do in their careers.
It's so affordable, I can use it on all of my horses in the barn, not just my top horses.
Order EquiBrew today by going to brickfieldnutrition.com or calling 850-879-2649.
This is a sign from God. I am not supposed to be here. This is not my path. I'm not going to do it. And so I went home and I told my parents, and my mom burst into tears and my dad got mad. But to their credit, which would have been a tough thing to do in our town with their friends and all of that, they both said, look, if this is what you want to do, then that's what we're going to do. So they sent me away to be a working student for Peter Gray and Paul Delbrook. And I remember I didn't want to be, which is sort of ironic now at this point in my life, but I didn't want to be in my 40s wondering, could I have? So I remember just like having a conversation with myself and saying, look, just go, try it. And if you fail, you can always go back to school. You can always go be a farrier. You can always go do something else. But I always, from a young kid, had this fear of like missing my window.
Jump for Joy fences are easy to move, lightweight, durable, and low maintenance. So we're out here on the cross country. We just finished over in the show jumping over the Jump for Joy fences. Had a great time schooling over them. They're really nice and easy to move, so we were able to adjust some things and really have the exact school that we needed thanks to the Jump for Joy fences. I love them.
Order yours at jumpforjoyusa.com.
Grant Showalter has over 15 years of equine bodywork and saddle fitting experience. His technique allows him to identify and alleviate tightness in muscles. He uses trigger point massage to release points of restriction. Grant has over a decade of experience fitting and adjusting a wide variety of saddles. His expertise in equine physiology, coupled with a thorough understanding of the importance of a properly fitted saddle, allows him to quickly identify and correct any balance issues. Grant can also adjust your saddle on-site. Grant works on all of my competition horses, and I have noticed a significant improvement in their performance at competitions and their overall way of going. Grant's based in Ocala, Florida year-round, but regularly travels to the surrounding areas. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 484-639-4454.
Hi, my name's Leslie Law, and we are a proud supporter of Jump for Joy. We've been using their portable cross-country jumps now for about 10 to 15 years. We love these jumps because, as you can see, they're very easy to move. It would only take another person on the other side and I could place this fence wherever I wanted to very easily.
Welcome back to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are here with the one and only recent Burghley performer for the United States, Cosby Green. Cosby, thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we know you're sort of recovering still from a wild week there. You were amazing, but we truly appreciate you making the time. Probably need to thank Tim and Jonelle for allowing you to make the time, so thanks to those guys. And we are in the Equibrew segment. Equibrew is an awesome live probiotic. I feed it to all of my horses. It helps their gut health. Honestly, it makes them eat better. Their coats are better. They're just better horses for being on it, which is really cool. Rick, you want to give any more insight into?
Yeah, it's the only live probiotic out there for horses. It comes in from New Zealand, and a little sidebar. Hannah Sue, thank you so much. She took 4 bottles to Miss Lucinda Green, who wanted it for her horses. She's been using it for a little bit, but she needs more consistency. So we're trying to figure out a way to get it to England. But everybody in the United States, be lucky you can, because if Lucinda Green is wanting it in the UK, y'all all should be using it in the US. And sorry, Lucinda, I used your name, but I wanted to give it a push.
Good work. Good work. Oh, I got to turn off my alerts here. So Cosby, you're not recovered. You're recovering from an awesome week. So I think that's where we really should start, is where you are right now. You had Copper Beach, which is a horse you got from Buck Davidson, and you've really just gotten that horse and been amazing with him. And I know he's just one member of your string, but sort of tell us about Copper Beach, how you got him, and sort of, the Cliff's Notes version of where you're at.
Yeah, so first of all, what an honor to be able to ride a horse like Sean. It has been the privilege of my life so far. He's just absolutely wonderful. So I got him nearly 4 years ago to the day. I was 19 at the time. And I was just looking for a horse to give me some experience and confidence, because that's something I kind of lack. And the opportunity came up that Buck would be willing to sell Sean. And we got on just together instantly. And the career is, when we got him, I was thinking maybe we'd get a year out of him. If we're lucky, 2 years, just because he is so experienced. And he was 15 at the time, which is quite old to be buying a horse. So I was just hoping for a year or two, good experience. And then he has just keep showing up time and time again, and never letting me down. And his health has been absolutely remarkable. And he got me all the way qualified through, 4-star longs. We got our 5-star qualifications, and I did my first 5-star at Poe last fall. And I thought, maybe, that's plenty, because he just keeps giving more and more and more. I thought maybe he'd be done after Poe, but he just came through looking amazing, just like a young spring chicken. And then Janelle pushed me to do badminton, and he came through that amazing again. And then on Sunday morning of badminton, when we trotted him up in the morning, he just looked incredible. And Janelle was like, let's do Burghley. And I was like, oh my God, that's terrifying. No way. And then we made it to this weekend where he was just an absolute superstar. And we had a PB in each phase, which I think just speaks for itself in his in the program that I'm in, to maintain those older horses. He truly has just never felt any better. Even when I tried him when I was 19, he was 15, he just continues to feel his best at the age of 18, which is such a privilege. And he's just given me the world, and I want to give him the world in return, because he is just absolutely incredible. And the difference he's made in my other horses is unbelievable, to be able to share his knowledge with them. So yeah, I just love him. He's the best.
He is something else. And man, he looked amazing out on cross country. So what you obviously been to badminton. There's nothing like that in the world. But then you go to Burghley, and there's nothing like that in the world. So, what were your thoughts when you pulled into that venue and you unload Sean off the trailer and you start hacking him around and seeing the property? Like before you even got to jog up, what was going through your mind?
At badminton, I found it to be quite more of a shock, a little bit more in your face. The atmosphere is just more electric because you're in the permanent stabling, and that was, I remember that was extremely overwhelming to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I have dreamed of this my entire life, and it was quite a shock. I had to adjust myself and pinch myself. Whereas Burley, when we went in there, I had just like a lot more confidence, and was believing that we deserved to be there. And the atmosphere at Burley is just a little bit more quiet and a little bit more horse friendly. I'm not sure if that's the right way to put it, but it just kind of felt like any other show. But then you get out into the crowds, and then it's just electric, and you have to pinch yourself again. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, because at Burley, you're still in the tents, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. You're in the tent stabling, which makes it feel quite normal.
It's like being at Rocking Horse. It's just like home.
It's exactly, that's what I was thinking when I pulled in. That was my thought. We're at Rocking Horse.
That's pretty cool. Rick, go ahead. You're on mute, Rick.
I haven't let the chickens out, so they're making a lot of noise. So
we appreciate the mute then. Good job.
It's farm life. I think, Cosby, you described that exactly right. When you go to badminton, you're in cobblestones, you're like back behind big stone walls, and it is a bit overwhelming. But Burley has that beautiful Burley house, obviously. Did you get to go to the Burley house the first night when you got there? I'm going to segue a little bit.
Yes. For the rider meeting, absolutely jaw-dropping, beautiful. Oh my goodness. I was speechless just in the rider meeting. I couldn't even focus on what they were saying. I was just looking all around the room. And then we went to the cocktail party, and we got to see a little bit of the house, and it's just, you can't even describe how beautiful and stunning it is. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's beautiful. pretty cool. Did you get, when you walked in the front door, did you see all the shoes lined up when you were walking through? Did you get to see that? I thought that was really cool.
No, I didn't catch that. No, I didn't.
Yeah, and so Burley, though, like you said, you get there, you relax, you're kind of thinking about your job at hand, and then you get to go do all these great things. So, are you at Tim and Jonelle's now?
So I'm at Cheddington Equestrian, which is where Tim and Janelle are. I'm actually on kind of Berto's side of the yard, and Tim and Janelle's are just about a 5-minute hack away.
So sidebar, their new farm was built like I think 4 years ago, maybe. And I was with Lucinda and Elisa, so we got to see Jonelle and Tim's place. So, and while I'm moving off of Burley real quick, because we got time, John.
Why are you looking at me like I'm like the guy who's going to make you stay on track? This is a new me. We're very relaxed.
I know, and I haven't had coffee, so I get to go all over the place. But when I saw where you were sitting, so I didn't get to see it finished. We saw their big indoor and everything in the viewing room. But how did that turn out before we go back to Burley? Is it beautiful there?
Oh my gosh, it is. Yeah, where we are, it is top class. Everything. Like so right now I'm sitting in a viewing room that's just overlooking the dressage and show jump arenas, and I mean I can just sit out here and look at the window and watch Berto school his horses, which is like so amazing to be able to do that. Like you can always learn. But I think I heard someone say it, but Cheddington, where we are, it gives you no reason to not perform your best. There's a top class gym. The arenas, there's arena for everything. The cross country jumps are for high level horses, which is amazing. The water treadmills, absolutely everything is designed to make you perform your best, and that's why I love it here. And I think it's just made an insane difference in the horses and facility alone.
Well, obviously it has. So you got prepared there to go to 3 5-stars. You're at Burley. So you're there, you're settled in. Tell us how Sean took it all in. He's a trooper and been around for a while, so he knows what he's doing. What was your prep for first day for dressage?
I just pretty much, he's pretty easygoing. He's pretty laid back. So for dressage, I just gave him a school the day before. And he was phenomenal. And everything we've been doing, we've just been kind of erring on the side of less is more. And it's not for any soundness reasons or anything like that, but just really trusting that he does know his job, and I can go in there and I know my job and I have the discipline to be able to put it together on the day. And even my dressage ride before, or my schooling ride before dressage, it was just keeping the basics, keeping him over his back and relaxed and connected. And then I run through the test with Janelle, and then on the day I was able to put it together, and I studied it, and then it produced a really polished result. But I have never done less dressage schooling or even jump training than before Burghley, just because less is more with him, and he knows, and just trusting that.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, especially since you're on a big track at Burghley. So you want to conserve as much energy as possible. I think obviously that plan worked out, and then you headed into dressage, and wow, you put on a performance. So how did that feel for you being at Burghley, your third 5-star? You did badminton before, and here you are at Burghley, the two prestigious places to be in England. And how did you feel going down the center line?
I was so excited. I was really ready to just throw down a good test, and really just kind of wanted to do better than my last time out. That's something that I always want to be better than what I did last time, and so I wanted to take a deep breath coming down the center line, kind of smile, enjoy it, ride the moment, and try to be in the quiet place, because it's quite the crowds and the electricity. You just have to kind of put it on pause, or I do anyways, and then do the performance. And I just had so much determination to get every single point I could out of him, because he's not the most flashy. It's pretty shocking how much better he's gotten in his older age, I find. Am I right as well? But I just really wanted to have that attention to detail. And I think my last halt was not very good, but I don't think I left many points on the table. I thought I rode every corner well and rode every change well, and that was my determination coming down the center line.
That's awesome. Before I turn it back over to John, Burghley TV did a really good job, and John, you can pipe in as well. It's the first time I've seen the scoring in a form, the way that we could truly follow pretty closely your each movement. Before it used to have a lag time and you're trying to figure out what was for what. Now that happens sometimes, but it was really cool to watch you go on your ride and get excited when the scores were popping up just as they were happening. So I don't know if y'all were able to experience that on your live feed after you were done riding, but it's a cool way of scoring for live TV. And I think hopefully more venues will do that. So, but good job on your dressage test. I'm going to hand it over to Jill.
Thank you.
So, Cosby, I want to tell you a little story, because I was telling you before we went on air that I rode at Burghley and did not have the performance that you had. I did finish, everybody. I did finish, but I'll never forget cross-country morning. And we'll get into walking the course, and obviously you walk that course the first time and it's like, oh, that's big. But I'll never forget cross-country morning. Which is at a 5-star is one of the most terrifying moments for me, or terrifying times, is the night before and the morning of. Until you sort of leave that box, it's amazing what your brain does to you. And I was freaking out because I was late in the day. I think it was like the 78th or 80th horse to go. So I'm watching everybody, and I decided I needed to go try to eat something because I was going later, which is never super easy to do. Exactly. Cosby shaking her head, not going to eat. Gosh. So I walked into the cafeteria, the little cafe they had by the stabling there, and I saw Bruce Davidson, and he was there. I think he was on Little Tricky, and I thought, perfect. Bruce is an icon. He's always been the nicest man to me in the world. I'm going to go sit next to Bruce so I can feed off of some of his confidence. And I walked up to Bruce and I said, Bruce, how you doing? How am I doing? This is terrifying. Nobody's going to jump around this thing. We're going to die. And I was like, Mr. Davidson, I don't think I can hang out with you this morning. I'm going to go get a coffee. I'll be back later. And I left immediately. He was so worked up, which I came to learn later is how Bruce was before big events. He would get himself worked up. but unfortunately he also worked up, the rookie who was there. So
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
What was your cross country morning like?
Oh my gosh. A little bit better than that, I will say. It is interesting to think about those moments, night of or night before and morning of. And this is not the way I've always been, but I was absolutely just calm. I take out, again, I was just, all I wanted to do was get on the course. I was really excited and I don't know why. But I biked the course first thing in the morning, just biked the outside, and I just envisioned myself going all the different options and really going through the plan. And then I walked as close as I could before cross country started, so I could get a feel for the crowds, because I find that to be quite shocking. And so I would just luckily say that any nervous energy I had, I just kind of put it into my plan. I knew every single blade of grass out there. I knew exactly where I was going to be jumping. And anytime I got nervous, I just went over and over and over the plan in my head. And I could just recite it out, every single little detail. And so I had a lot of calm in that. And then I also just had a lot of fight is not the right word, but I was like, let me at the course. Like, I am ready. Like, I'm sick and tired of thinking of it. Like, I was just ready to just go kind of smash it out, which is not normally always the case. But I felt like on a course like that, you really have to have the attacking mentality. And then also I surround myself with, as much as I can, with Tim and Janelle, because they are the most amazing, cool, professional customers, and just putting myself in good presence of people. And they're nervous, but they're not flappy, if you will. They have confidence in their plan and the preparation, and so that's something I try as much as I can at all these shows. Even if it's just one day, I try to match their energy as much as I can of cool confidence, and really try to learn that there's no other way to do it than that approach. So that's how I was in the morning, which was a blessing.
Wow.
I'm gonna try to work on that, be more that way.
I've
certainly improved since that first time. So yeah, but good advice.
Well, it sounds like she was hanging out with a little bit calmer people too.
Well, look, Mr. Davidson, I'm just making fun. That man is a legend. Whatever he does and did to be competitive, it obviously worked. So well done him. And honestly, for me, that his way does work a little bit for me too. It gets me a little wound up. So
I agree.
Fun story to tell.
I agree with that. I have a story to tell. Cosby, how far over? I can't remember your time. You were pretty quick though. What was your time?
I think I had 12.8 time penalties.
Yes.
So
that's really good at Burghley,
not
right?
too far off.
So I saw Sinead Alpin Maynard on Saturday after you had run. And, I think the stats were for Sinead was she was one of the only American riders that has made time at Burghley.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that until I was watching you go. And so I saw her, and she said, the reason I'm bringing her up, not only because she's awesome and she's Sinead, but she said, I said, how did you do that? She said, she totally was obsessed with the course. She walked it as many times as she could. She knew every grass blade that was out there. So this is why I'm saying this. And she said, I figured out how to cut as much time off by hanging on the ropes where I could and where I couldn't. And she said, that's the only way I made time. She said, there's no way, that horse isn't that fast. But it's interesting of your way of doing it. And I think it's just going to prove that you and Sinead know what the heck y'all are doing, because you're going to go out there and just have a course like you did, whether you had 12.8 time penalties or you're double clear. Making it around that without any jump penalties is amazing. Tell me if this is true. Was the leaf pit the most scary thing you did, or is there something else out there that scared you more?
Well, so when I went there, I nearly fell off at the first skinny, because those skinnies, I walked the course with my dad, who's about 6'5", and he stood behind the skinnies and you could just barely see his head poking behind the back of the brush. And I was like, well, I didn't need to see that. And then I walked later with Jesse Campbell, who I think is even taller than my dad. And they looked even bigger next to him. They were massive. And anyways, I did nearly fall off at the first skinny. My horse Sean thought he could brush through them. And they learned that they couldn't really because it was so stiff. But yes, the leaf pit was horrifying. I remember the first time I walked the course with Tim and Janelle, I walked kind of down to the hill to where the drop is, and my mouth was on the floor. Tim was at the bottom of the bank, and he just got his phone out and recorded my reaction of me looking at the leaf pit for the first time. And I'm sitting there with Janelle, my jaw is on the floor, and I'm like, I'm not even scared of heights, but this is scaring me. And Janelle is reassuring me. She's like, it's really just not that bad. And it was so daunting to look at. And I walked that line probably 50 times because it rode significantly better than it walked, but you just couldn't, that last skinny on the way out, you just didn't think the horses were going to pick it up. And they were so massive, so wide. You couldn't really, I don't think anyone really could picture how the horses were going to read that combination or even do it or anything like that. And then another funny story about the leaf pit is the night before cross country. This is me being a bit neurotic perhaps, but it was just before the sun went down, and I just sat at the top of the leaf pit on the bank, and I just stared at it, and I was just coming to grips with it. And my friends who were to Janelle's grooms, they walked up on me sitting there in a quiet space, and I think they laughed at me and thought I was a bit crazy, but I was like, I'm just trying to understand how this is going to be possible, and I ended up coming to grips with it and doing it. But I wish I had seen it in person before I had gone and ridden it, because it really scared me.
I think even if you'd seen it in person, it would have scared you. That thing is massive.
Yeah.
The issue, I think, is you just don't know what they're going to do. Like, you can't predict how they're going to drop off that thing.
No. Yeah, you have no idea. You like, I was like, are we going to, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. And by the way, we watched you, and yeah, you got a little loose at the first skinny, but you didn't almost fall off. You rode great.
Thanks. I felt like I was about to fall off, but thankfully I did recover a lot faster than I thought. It was about one stride I was down, and then I was up, which was good.
Yeah, well, and I will say that is probably the one place where you can say, like, what a horse. Well, there's a lot of places, but that's the one place in particular, what a horse, because you did get jostled a little loose at that first skinny, and he just looked for the flags, didn't he?
Oh my God. Yeah, I gave him a big pat afterwards, and I just, told him, I said, those are the flags, and please go. And he was like, yeah, I saw that from, back there. And that was an amazing moment where he helped me out 100%.
Well, that's the plus. He got to see the whole question from the top of that bank, because you can see everything
exactly
early from the top of that bank.
You could probably see the whole course from the top of that bank, but yeah.
So it was a great cross country round. You were unreal. And the thing I thought was amazing, and I know, like you said, you had what, 12.8 time?
Yeah.
That's a pretty fast round. And the thing I thought that was amazing, as I watched you go around, I was like, she looks like she's going to be really slow. Like, I don't feel like Cosby's pressing on him to make him go. And then I saw your time at the end, and I was like, that thing can gallop, because I didn't see you chasing him. You just were making great rides, galloping away from the fences, but not flapping your elbows and screaming and hooting and hollering. You were just going in a really confident way. And to be able to be that quick around that course is pretty impressive, considering it didn't look like you were flying.
Yeah, and I think that is such the secret to or what I'm trying to figure out is the secret to a quick round is a smooth round. And I went out there with mentality, I'm going to try to take the least amount of pulls that I can. If you kick, you can't. Janelle was so helpful on the inside of, where the horses are going to be tired on the course, especially going up Winners Avenue. The horses get, tired there. So trying to know when to kick, when to let them take a breath. And I think that's kind of the secret to a quick round, even though it wasn't necessarily under time. But, and I've also, people call me, I don't want to be considered a slow rider. So I was a bit out there, and I was like, we're not going to be crawling around this. But I wanted to have a horse at the end of the day, and he kept jumping. And I actually found him to recover better at Burghley than even at badminton or Poe, he had a lot more gas left in the tank, which I'm not totally sure how that happened, but yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you brought that up, because I was going to talk to you about on course where you know your horse is getting tired and you got to just give it a second and say, oh, they're going to catch their breath. So let everybody know that are watching and listening, on an 11 minute and 20-second course or something like that. Tell us what Jonelle did tell you and what you do find with Sean on that long of a course. Is it at 7.5 minutes that you feel a little thing, and when do they regain, and go through that, because I think that's interesting for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah, so I think this course in particular, the beginning was full on. The first 10 jumps, 11 jumps, there was absolutely no let up, and mentally the horses were a bit fried after that. You could kind of feel them like, whoa, this is, I felt Sean be like, this is quite full on. And then I think it was up to the 4 minute, there were our first couple of proper gallop jumps, and I just took all the pressure off. Don't take a pull, don't kick them, let them catch your breath, just travel over the jumps nicely, because they get galloped up a hill before those gallop jumps, and you can just feel them a little bit fried. So you take all the pressure off, make it nice and easy. And then we had a couple of more intense questions, and again, trying to pull the least I can, be efficient. And then it was around the 7 to 8 minute mark, really where those double corners that were causing trouble. It was right about then and a little bit after, when those horses kind of feel the effects of what they're doing and what they've just done at the top of that hill. And you just have to just embrace it. And Janelle told me, she said, don't panic. They will be tired here, and they will have a second, and you just have to give it to them, because if you kick them and you push them past it, you're done. Like you're not going to have a horse at the end. But I think it was past the 8 minute, after the ditch and wall and the skinnies, most horses did, and especially Sean caught a bit of a second wind going up to the corner in the 2-stride. They do catch a wind, and just to stay calm during the process, that the horse their energy is going to fluctuate through the whole course. And that is okay, and that is normal, and to not panic. And as long as they maintain their shape and are coming off the ground well, then you're okay, and don't panic.
Yeah, I think that's really great information for everybody out there listening, because not everybody gets to do a 5-star, and that's the longest course that they have. So thanks for explaining that to everybody out there. And it's cool that you had the conditioning done on that horse too, because he's not thoroughbred, right? But he's got, do you know how much blood he has in him?
I'm actually not totally sure. I think
enough to make it around,
but yeah, not loads. He doesn't have loads of blood. And I know Buck had never taken him to Burghley. So a little bit, I was like, oh, does he have enough stamina? And he's like ancient. He's 18. So I was like, I have this could be a terrible idea, but we will find out. But, and we kept the galloping light and focused on other things. And it worked out really nicely, actually.
Well, and I think we want to get into that, Cosby. Obviously, we want to talk about show jumping, but before we do any of that, we do need to take a moment here just to check in with some of our sponsors. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to come back. I want to hear about the show jumping, and I do think one thing that's super interesting is how you had Sean, how you've kept Sean going as long as you have. So let's take a break, and we'll be right back. Again, thank you to Equibrew for sponsoring this segment. Awesome product. You guys need to check it out. You go to brickfieldnutrition.com. And do we have a promo code still, Rick, or no?
Promo code, I don't have one this week, but we will get it out there on the website.
Okay, cool. So brickfieldnutrition.com, go check it out, get yourself some Equibrew. It's great stuff.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Hey, it's John here. I just want to let you guys know I got back from schooling at Magnolia Sands Farm here in Ocala, Florida. Their cross-country field is perfectly suited for a first outing on a young horse or schooling your upper-level horse. Magnolia Sands offers over 110 jumps ranging from starter to intermediate, plus multiple banks, ditches, and waters. They're constantly updating their courses and have even added new ditches and a starter ditch wall. Conveniently located in Northeast Ocala, Magnolia Sands has made it easy for riders and trainers with online waivers, Venmo, and PayPal, and even offer a golf cart for guests. MagnoliaSandsFarm.com. Reset, reboot, rebuild, restore. Experience the transformative power of our formulas you can trust. Elevate your horse's well-being from the inside out with Parkmore supplements. European designed, American manufactured, and Kentucky Proud certified. Parkmore's Devil's Own Detox, Nature's Own Binding Agent, cleansing your horse's system. Now available for your canine kids too. Say goodbye to unwanted elements and hello to vitality. Parkmore Special Vitamin Mineral Supplement, a micronutrient powerhouse. No fillers, just 4 ounces a day for a 5-star adventure to thrive. Because excellence deserves exceptional nutrition. Parkmore GLF Immuno Booster. Unleash the magic gold, the #1 building block for cell replication. Elevate wellness and recovery for your horses and dogs, whether after training, travel, competition, or during periods of injury, illness, or surgery. Parkmore HI Oil Infusion. Customize your blends of herbs and spices to naturally combat inflammation, bacteria, and restore gut flora. Elevate your horses and dogs' appetite naturally. Expert guidance awaits. For more information, schedule an online, telephone, or on-site consultation with Fleur or one of our dedicated team members. Visit parkmoresupplements.com or call, text at 502-265-8345 to elevate your companion's well-being today. Since 1950, Maison Forestier has been offering its know-how to design custom-made saddles for passionate riders. In 2016, Maison Forestier took a turn and expanded into the sports world with the goal of improving the performance of the rider-horse pair. You will find a professional, reactive, and fun team to answer your needs. And this is why I have chosen Forestier for all of my saddlery needs. Feel free to contact the saddle expert in your area for more information by visiting www.forestier.com.
Welcome back to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are in the Jump for Joy virtual studio, and we're going to get right back to Cosby Green, who just was a miraculous 16th place at Burghley. Not miraculous, we knew you were going to do really well. On a really cool horse, Copper Beach, Sean. John, I think you wanted to have her bring us into some other phases since the cross country was so great.
Yeah, so why don't we stick with the competition for now, Cosby? So you get up, obviously you've done all your work Saturday night. You get up Sunday morning, you've got the vet jog, and you have show jumping to deal with. So how was he feeling going into the jog? Were you confident everything was where you needed it to be?
Yes, surprisingly, thankfully, yes, I was. And that's a huge thanks to the team that was behind me, Christiana Ober, and the physio Alice Dorman. They had him looking amazing, and my groom Tilly, they just took top-notch care of him. He looked incredible, and I think he felt a lot better than I felt. I was quite sore personally, so I had to do a little bit of a stretching before the trot up. But I had a lot of confidence, and I don't think a lot of people could say that with an 18 horse, that they're not too worried about the second trot up, and he came through it amazingly.
So let's talk about that, because I do think with where the world is right now, with everything happening with horsemanship in the sport and sort of the spotlight on some riders that we wish weren't a spotlight, this is a really good story to tell, right? This is a story of a girl who loves her horse and has done everything you can to make sure that he is feeling his best. And you've obviously, as you've been talking to us, been really mindful with all of the decisions you've made for him. You've talked with Janelle, you talked with Tim, you've got all of that knowledge to take what is an older campaigner of a horse and do the right thing by him to make sure that he's feeling his best. So I kind of want you to give your secrets away, but without giving your secrets away, what are you guys doing to make sure that Sean at 18 years old can go gallop around Burghley and look like he's 10?
I think, something that's really important in our program is the water treadmill. Is something that has been, I find, to be a game changer in the program. It's pretty cool what you can do at a walk with some water, and how, how much stronger and fitter that can make them feel. And just, I've never done so much hacking in my entire life. We're not in the school all the time. We're not jumping all the time. We're very rarely jumping, and we're hacking up the hills in the walk and trot and changing the terrain and the surfaces, and kind of always just keeping it fresh and interesting for them, and just knowing that less is more, and listening to him. And then I think part of it as well is, creating a program. I think he ran twice before, maybe twice before badminton in Burghley he did, or before badminton he did an intermediate and a 4-star, and then before Burghley had an intermediate, and he did the British Open. And I think that comes down to scheduling, is to not overdoing it. That it gives me a heart attack to think about that I only did 2 prep runs before these events. But Janelle just reassured me, Cosby, he knows what he's doing. Stick with it. We get him fit at home on doing the hacking and the water treadmilling and the gallops on the amazing surface, and just trusting that process. And then I also just think, to give a horse longevity is you have to ride them in a fair and correct way. You have to, it's your job as a rider to be as balanced as you can, and work them evenly, and try to be as correct as you can with everything, and give those horses proper muscles and even work. So I think all of those kind of things tied together produces longevity in horses, and I think that speaks for itself with Tim and Janelle's program, and hopefully with mine, that's the mentality to have.
Yeah, that's just super interesting stuff. And the treadmill, we've used that down here in Ocala a bunch, and it is an awesome thing to add into the program for sure. So you get through the jog, you head into show jumping. Obviously, you've been in that ring for dressage because it's the same arena, correct? Still?
Yeah. Same.
So what were you thinking when you walked that course, when you saw it? Like, the one thing I remember when I was there is you still see where the dressage ring was, because everybody's torn up the ground. Horses have been galloping through it for cross country. The stands are there. It's pretty electric. So what was going through your mind walking that course? How confident were you?
Oh my gosh, I was determined. I am not going to go bowling this time. I'm going to know the plan. And I thought badminton show jumping was such a disaster, but that course was extremely technical. It was on a little bit more of a side of a hill. So I actually found a bit of relief when I saw this course was slightly less technical and more on a flat surface. And like you said, we've been, there's so much has happened in that arena so far. I felt a little bit familiar with it, and I actually found the crowds to be way less in your face than at Po and at badminton, which for me, as someone who's kind of new at this, that helped a bit. And I just walked it, and I was ready to give it my best shot.
And you did. I mean, I watched you go in there. I think one of the interesting things for people listening and watching the show is he's a tricky show jumper. At least to me, it looks like he is. And you do. And when you were talking about balance and riding your horse, you have to just sit still and let him do his thing, it looks like, because I think you were given a great compliment that you knew your horse so well. You know how he jumps. Is it the picture perfect way of going down to a jump? No, but who cares? He jumps up higher than the fence, right? So tell us how you did master Sean's show jump rounds, because you do a really good job of staying out of his way.
Thank you. Yeah, so show jumping for him definitely is the most difficult phase. He's, generally speaking, he's an unconventional jumper. He's not like the other ones I get on and they give this lovely round shape over a jump. He's jumping with his head in the air. His legs are coming up just barely, just enough. And I think the biggest thing is, I also rode him in a hackamore for the show jumping, which I'd only done a few times just because I wasn't getting a good enough response and with having a bit in his mouth. So I was like, let's just change something completely different, just to make him happy to be able to use whatever he needs. I just wanted him to feel his best and try to stay out of his way. This show jumping, I really wanted to, he does like his head in the air, and I work at home all the time trying to get him to stay round over jump. That's all we do every single time over small jumps is how can I get him to jump with his back up and, him, changing his shape. We're always changing his shape at home. And, at 18, he's not truly going to change his shape. So I went in with the mentality that, all right, he's going to jump the way he wants to jump. I'm not going to try to get his head down. I'm just going to try to keep my body as tall as I can and give him a ride through it, because it's not a wonderful feeling. I know it's not beautiful to watch, and but he's 18 and I can't really change so much, but I can give him every opportunity to be his best and to clear them, and felt like he also really wanted to clear them as well. It's a big effort for him, show jumping on the last day, especially at this older age, but even though he was unconventional, he really did not want to touch those poles, which means a lot to me.
No, I'm sorry, I was waiting for you, but one last thing. With the Hackmore, we did notice that. And when you were riding with the Hackmore, did he always have that big of a shadow roll on? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I've never ridden him with a shadow roll before. That was
new too. So
yeah,
well
that was
done.
new. It was
they always say go to a 5-star and change it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was like, you know what, I've got nothing to lose, and I'm very privileged that my parents my family owns him, and I realized how lucky that is, and it's for me he's for me to learn on and to get experience on for other top horses that are to come in the future with other owners. And I was like, we will try something new, because whatever we did last time didn't work. So I'm happy to try new things, and it worked out pretty nicely.
Good for you. Good for you.
You are incredibly good at this, because you just gave us an amazing segue to something else, which is highly suspicious. So you've had a pretty good run with him this year as well. You were second at Mill Street on him. I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm going to set you up. What is the plan for him for the rest of this season?
Yeah, so highly suspicious. We call him Puff in the stables. I've had him for about 8 years, and it's taken me 8 years to learn how to ride him. So he has been in incredible form this year. I have been blown away. So he put in an amazing performance at the British Open, which is essentially the advanced championships here in the UK, except it is harder than an advanced. It felt like a 5-star short. It was one of the biggest tracks I had seen that wasn't a 5-star. Super technical, big at Hartbury, and he was amazing in that, put in his best performances in all 3 phases there. So I think checking that off the box, I would love for him to, hopefully, fingers crossed, if I can get myself organized, I'd love for him to come to Maryland 5-star. I think that would really suit him as a first 5-star, big and bold and brave and galloping. And it has taken me 8 years to learn how to ride him and to get where we are, but I think he is an unbelievable athlete that has, I think he should be quite competitive now that we've figured some things out. He is, he's got scope, he's brave, he can be obedient on the flat now. To me, he is the stamp of an event horse now that he's 14 years old. But I have a lot of belief in him. So I think, I think it would suit him better than Poe, where it's quite twisty and technical, and Maryland, I hope he'll be able to open up and really put in a good performance.
So you did the British Open. Do you have another run with Puff? Is that right?
Yes. He's meant to do an intermediate this week at Cornbury. And then I have just recently decided to take him to Lanier 4-star short. I'm pronouncing that in a very American accent. It's in
That's
France.
All right. This is technically, you're with 2 Americans, so go American.
Yeah, perfect. No judgment here at Lanier to do the 4 short. And I think that will just be a nice run, because the British Open was a key kind of key run for him. It was, that was a big test. Is he ready? And so now it's just kind of going to be all about maintaining his confidence and his ability, which is why we'll drop him back down and then have a nice 4 short, which will be tough, but not too tough. And that will just, we both just need good confidence going into a 5-star.
Right. Well, I'm excited to watch you do that. Real briefly here, I think this is super important. When your car over there is on empty, where do you go and what do you put in it?
When my car is on empty, happens quite often. We go about 15 minutes away, and we fill it up with petrol.
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're hungry when you're at the petrol station, you go inside and there's little potatoes fried up in a bag. And what do we call those?
Those are French fries. No one can change my mind on that. Fries, 100%.
Okay, no, sorry. I got this wrong. You're right. But they call them what, though?
Chips.
Yeah. Okay. And then what we call chips, what do they call those?
Crisps.
Yeah, see? It's like a whole different language of snacks over there.
Yeah, okay. It's confusing.
So is your vehicle diesel or regular gas?
Regular gas. Yeah, regular gas. It is.
And the reason I'm asking is because Lucinda's is diesel, and she's done it 5 times, and she's put in regular petrol into her car and calls. I was over there one time. Calls and says, "I can't go anywhere. My car has regular gas in it," so she has to always get it pumped out and then put back in.
Oh my gosh!
Good thing you're not using the wrong gas.
That is
so
terrible.
Expensive.
Yeah, it's terrible. And my car is hardly a car; it's nearly a golf cart, but. It's okay. I feel safe in it on the country roads.
Guys, Rick, I'm gonna leave you just for a minute because this is like happening in my barn. My farrier is outside asking me a question, so I'm gonna quickly just step away. Rick, Cosby, you guys are doing great. Just give me a second, and I'll be right back.
We'll do it. So, Cosby, is Jonelle and Tim going to Maryland with you?
I believe that Tim is hopefully coming.
Great.
Fingers crossed. And then I think Janelle has some horses going to Lilian, so I don't think she will be in attendance. But it's a shame those are the same weekend.
Yeah, because she's been to everyone. I guess this will be the first one she misses, because she comes over each time. So traveling over, what's the schedule for y'all? Let's say everything goes right. We're just going to put you in fast forward. You're great at your next linear outing, and you are going to load up on a plane and kind of go, wow, I'm going back to the United States with a horse. When are you planning on doing that? Because I think we're like the 2nd week in October for Maryland, somewhere in there, like the 15th, 16th, 17th, or something like that.
Yeah, to be completely honest,
you haven't looked at that.
Absolutely no idea. I called up Joni the other day, about a week ago, just before Burghley. I said, Joni, I have no idea what I'm doing. What is because it's so odd to be going to an event that's in my home country, and an event I grew up going to. That's quite weird. And I told Joni I had no idea. I was like, have I done everything I need to do so far? She said, yes. She said, don't worry about it. Get through next week and then we'll talk. So, it hasn't even crossed my mind, but I'm sure I'm going to have a massive learning curve.
Yeah. I mean, to your point real quick on Joni and you saying that, because if people are listening, when you go outside of the country, when you're in the US, you have to ask for permission to go where you're going. So did you think you were like, oh, do I have to ask permission in the United States, come back to the United States? It's kind of one of those things that you do. So keep going with your story. I just thought I'd push that in there.
Yeah, it's just there's so many things coming back into my home country that there's so many rules. I don't even think I know half of them, but making sure the horses, the carnet that I'm on, I can come back in this country, and because I am planning on returning back to England afterwards. But there's just so many legalities of it, and the quarantine and flights and everything. It feels very weird coming in. I'm going to be grouped in with the foreigners, as they say, into Maryland, and I'll be in the stabling with them, and I'm going to be treated as a foreigner, even though it's my home country. So I'm having a hard time conceptualizing that at this moment. But that is going to be a today or tomorrow job to figure all of that out as soon as possible.
I'm back. Farrier is sorted, so everybody can relax. Cosby, and I apologize if you guys have talked about this, just tell me, but you are from here. You're actually from Lexington, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So I heard you talking about Joni when I stepped back in. So you go to Maryland, you're going to smoke around that, you're going to win it. Then,
hopefully,
yeah, no, guaranteed.
Manifest it.
That's the John and Rick show effect. This
is true.
You do win your next big event. It's guaranteed. So
Perfect.
congratulations ahead of time. So
thank you.
Do you have any, and I know you're going to give us all the qualifiers of, oh, this needs to go right, that needs, you don't need to do any of that. We got all that. Are you going to come home in April for Kentucky?
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I'm very lucky that I have, a couple of different horses, or hopefully some different options of horses to take. But Kentucky, it will be funny by the end of the season if Maryland goes well. Kentucky, I've grown up 15 minutes away from it, and it's one of the 5 stars I haven't done. And my dad specifically is so involved with the Kentucky Horse Park, and he puts so much time and effort into that event. Just he's so passionate about Kentucky and eventing and everything like that. And really my whole family, that it's Kentucky is so important for everyone, and I grew up doing it, dreamed of it, that it's absolutely on my priority list. And it would be just so rewarding to be able to go and to do well, ideally. And just that would be, to me, that's what I've grown up doing. Whereas a lot of these English people, they look at Badminton Burghley and that's their, that's what they want to do. And same for me, but Kentucky, since I was a baby, I've gone, and that's always been what I wanted to do. And I'm very determined to hopefully get there soon.
And that made me really think, because typically, and I don't know the stats on this, John, but typically,
make them up. That's what I do all the time.
There we go. I doubt there's too many U.S. riders that have done Badminton Burghley before a 5-star in their home country, just because that's what you would do, right? You do Kentucky and then go do Badminton and Burghley. So you're the reverse order. So, and you're from Lexington on top of it. So I bet you, I'm going to predict you will be at Kentucky, and it will be smooth sailing at your hometown. So I'm excited to watch and see you there as well.
Thank you. I really hope it goes well. But I do, on the backside of Burghley, I've realized I am actually, hoping to come up to these events in America. I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have the experience to ride in these tracks in England, do the 1 days in England. And then when I go back to America, I know exactly what to expect and the way the culture is going to be, because that's what I've grown up doing. And I'm very, very lucky to feel like a little bit of a versatile athlete in that aspect. And so I'm really excited to come to America and know what the ground's going to be like and know the tracks and everything like that. It's a massive blessing, I've learned.
Well, we're super excited for you, Cosby. The last thing I want to just say to you is I kind of want to apologize to you, because Rick doesn't even know this. I sent Cosby a message Saturday evening. I don't think it was too late, because I wanted to make sure that we had somebody awesome to come on this show this week. And Cosby, being the consummate professional that she is, did not respond either. And you don't have to tell me, but you can. She didn't see the message because she was so focused on her job, or she quite rightly said, I'm not responding to that until after the weekend is done, because I ain't jinxing anything and I'm not getting distracted. So thank you, once you were through on Sunday, for responding. And you were nice enough to apologize for not responding, which, by the way, you didn't need to do, because I didn't expect a response. I just wanted to get in the queue, or as in America, we say the line, to be able to be ready for you to be on this show. So we really appreciate it.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. And maybe I'm a little bit superstitious, but I like to get the job done first. And my mom was, when we were walking cross country, she's like, oh, can I get a picture with you at the last fence? It was a beautiful jump in front of the house. And I said, no, we'll get a picture when I'm jumping through it. That will be the picture. So anyways, I like to get everything done. And so, anyways, I apologize for that. That is fine.
No, don't apologize. You did the right thing. It's just that I also, amongst other stuff, do some of the booking, right? The booker for the show. So I have to stay on it and bother you. And I appreciate that you stayed focused on your job while the press in this case was trying to get you.
Press. Yeah. No, but thank you guys so much.
Hey, one more thing. I heard you mention that Tim had a video of you at the Leaf Pit. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you get that video by chance?
Yeah, I do have.
Can we get you to send us that video?
Yeah, I can. I'll send a little snippet. It's pretty bad quality, and Tim's.
That's okay. We don't care.
In the background, but I'm like, oh
my. Okay, so let's say, where do we want to put this? Do we want to put it in right now, Rick?
Yes. Oh, okay. Let's go to the Leaf Pit and see exactly how Cosby reacted. What do you think,
Yeah,
John?
So Cosby, I will say this. If you want to put this out on your stuff, you better do it fast because this show comes out soon and we're going to steal it.
Okay, I'm embarrassed already, but yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty embarrassing.
Awesome. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the Leaf Pit to close out the show. We're going to see Cosby's reaction to it. So let's go check that out. And Cosby, sincerely, thank you. You've been an amazing guest. I had a feeling you were going to be great coming on the show. So we really appreciate you. We could go on for another hour if we wanted to, but let's go check out your reaction at the Leaf Pit. And thank you, everybody, for coming and watching the show. Thank you to Horse Trailer Pros for sponsoring this show for over 5 years. We've got 23,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's gone bigger than my wildest imaginations, and that's because of great guests like Cosby. So thank you to Horse Trailer Pros. Thank you to Cosby. Thank you to Jump for Joy for sponsoring the studio, and to all of the sponsors. Make sure you guys support them. All right, with all that work side of it done, off to the Leaf Pit.
This is fine. They just skip off that and bike down the hill. I'm not even scared of heights.
Come on down.
We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest eventer of all time.
Good news for the sport.